Hey, coaches. Now that we've established the value and importance of having goal setting as part of the experience within a coaching arrangement, let's talk about the methods a coach can use to thoroughly and expertly explore goal setting as a part of a coaching relationship. Now, first off, one of the most important questions to kick this off with is, when do you do goal setting exploration? Obviously, you would do it as part of a first session or maybe even an intake session, depending on if you're selling your own coaching or a part of a corporate sponsored organization. Um, you need to establish some sort of measure of success and purpose for the coaching relationship. So at the very beginning, you'll almost always have some sort of time where you are discussing what this person's goals are and how to get there and how they'd like to achieve their goals, all of that at the beginning. But another place might be if they're feeling stuck, they have an established goal that they worked with you to establish as their coach. They've tried at it for a month or 2 months, and there's something not there. The motivation they thought would be there, or the meaning they perceived at the beginning, it's not panning out. They are not energized by that goal. So we might revisit the goal setting conversation in order to establish a more meaningful or more aligned goal for them. Next, if they hit a significant milestone on the way of achieving a longer term goal, say a 5-year goal, it can be very valuable to reflect on what's changed and what worked well with the coaching over the past few sessions or few months, and how we can set up a new vision or version of the goal, new metrics of success for the next few sessions and next few months, and just overall reestablish the goals for the coaching to keep that energy strong. We don't want to just pursue a 5-year plan without reflecting from time to time on how are we doing and celebrating some of those successes that they've had, that the clients had during their journey towards the goal that they're wanting to achieve. Next, another big reason why we might do goal setting is if something major has shifted in a person's life. They were after that promotion and now they just got news that they are going to be laid off, or their organization is doing layoffs and everyone's position is kind of fixed. We're in a different setting, a different mode, maybe a different relationship. Everything is changing. Therefore, we need to make sure the goal setting is changed as well, or the goal is changed as well. So, of course, we'd revisit it. Even though the conversation might go from, oh, we want to go for that promotion, to, oh, I'm going to have to find a new job, we can still use what we learned from the original goal setting to inform the new goal setting. So what about what we set up for the promotion efforts and journey you were on? Might you want to carry over even if you're going to be doing this job search? What's still significant as you move towards looking at another company? Finally, as a coaching arrangement wraps up, there's been a lot of success. And part of that success is that this person is more accountable to themselves, and they have a better sense of what they are after in life, and that they can really achieve that. They have more confidence and hope in their ability to pursue goals. With that being the case, a coach should always have in mind that when the coaching relationship is tying up, we end on a note that suggests continued growth. That this person isn't going to stop growing and seeing personal and professional development when they hang up the phone or turn off the Zoom with their coach for the last time. Instead, a coach should take some time to reflect on the achievement of the goals so far and what this person wants to do over the next year, and how they want to begin measuring success towards that, and what initial actions they want to take over maybe the first couple of months or 3 months after the coaching is done. So that kind of goal setting is going to come into play more than just the very beginning. It's going to be at the beginning. It's going to be at milestones, when a person's stuck, when there's a significant life transition, and when the coaching's wrapping up. So now, let's take a little bit of time to look at some methods for exploring goals. One of the first ways to kick things off, because many people, especially in a corporate sponsored coaching setting, they might not be very clear on what to work on. While some have a very clear picture of who they want to become and what they need to achieve in order to get there, many are a bit foggy on what their actual goals are. Remember, in coaching, in this type of space where someone else is paying for the coaching, this person didn't go to you for the coaching, they might not have a longer term plan or vision in mind other than, oh, it'd be nice to be promoted at some point. And we know that coaching goes beyond just that level of goal. So doing some sort of assessment at the beginning, utilizing an in-house 360 or other performance assessment, maybe utilizing the feedback that your client got recently from their performance review as a whole, from their manager, doing a wheel of life, just simple wheel of life exploration, which we've seen before, or even simpler, just having a couple of places or pieces of who this person is and scaling their current level of satisfaction, current perceived level of performance on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 7, 1 to 10, whatever it is. And this allows them to have a sense of what's working well so far. Now, past that, because we are talking about goal setting, not just, not only assessments, have them consider and ask plenty of questions around what do they want to see shift if they were to retake this 360 a year from now? If they were to increase their wheel of life in a few of the different dimensions, which elements would be most important and what would they want their score to become? With these areas that we're doing some scaled scores on, what do you want these to become, these scores to be later? And considering this feedback from your manager, what would you appreciate your manager saying about you next time? Now, if you notice, these questions are looking at, in many ways, things that are somewhat out of the control of the client. But this is giving a bit of a picture of what they'd like to see change. From there, the coach can ask questions to get more at what this person's role is going to be in pursuing that goal, which we've talked a bit about that before as we've looked at kind of a SMART goal in the past. What is the sense of attainability and personal responsibility in pursuing this goal? So make sure to explore what this person is going to be doing on their side to increase their measures. Now, let's talk a little bit about, I don't know if I'd call this troubleshooting, but just 3 different angles through which we can approach the idea of goal setting. First off, it's a very straightforward approach. It's what we've just described. What is your current picture of reality now? Maybe through an assessment or just asking them what's your experience with your work right now and your satisfaction with your work. And then have them consider where they'd like things to be a year from now, 6 months from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But it is where they are currently and where they want to be in a longer period of time. Of course, after that exploration is done, just the beginning of that exploration is done, the real questions come into play of how would you know you are on the right track? What's the significance of that longer term vision? What would you need to have changed in yourself in order to achieve this? And how would you see coaching supporting you through that longer term journey? So some people are going to find this now forward approach very familiar, something they're very comfortable with, while others, they may have tried this type of approach before and they need a different approach. A very common alternative is to consider where this person wants to be 10 years out, 5 years out. What's their dream? What's their long-term hope? What would they love to have happen in their lives? So it's not looking at their current satisfaction and starting from that place. Instead, you're starting at the hope side. And in many ways, it can be a more effective way of doing goal setting. It does start with a dream, which can be a bit fuzzy, but it also starts with hope. As we look at the longer term, the client is going to have more of a positive vibe about what they may be able to achieve in the longer run. And then they can walk backwards towards what they need to change in order to achieve the longer term goals. When we start from today forward, sometimes the today part can bring them down a little bit and may hinder their picture of where things go in the long run. So just a little consideration there. And finally, I mean, in my experience, one of the things I've often run into is someone in the corporate space who has been asked by many others who've maybe been a family member or a partner, spouse, maybe their peers, whoever it might be, their parents. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to achieve here over the next year? What are you hoping to have happen in the next year? Like, they have a hard time answering those questions. This is a method I use for these individuals who they feel blocked in any type of goal setting, and they often feel like they can just roll with the punches and they're good. Not really needing anything, just kind of good. I'm just trying to do my best with the work that I have. Very common response. I will try to challenge them by asking permission to, just to explore where they would like to be in the future just a little bit further before we move on from the goal setting. And I usually ask the question around two things. If they were to have a conversation with their skip level, so their boss's boss, and in that conversation, the boss's boss said, hey, so we're trying to make some strategic plans for the next 5 years, 3 years, whatever, usually 2 or 3 years would be good. And I'd love to hear, where do you see yourself maybe within this organization over that period of time? And in this, feel free to give just your rough draft answer. I found that it can also kind of be useful to role play this a little bit, to make it a very light role play. Hey, can I play the role of your skip level boss real briefly and just in the moment ask you a question as if they are asking it of you to see if there's any ideas around the goals that you might like to set for yourself. I think that this is beneficial for a couple of reasons. Skip level is often a place where the person, they want to impression manage more with them. With one's boss, it's not as big of a deal in a way. But when you look at that skip level, I do want to appear effective with them even more so than my own manager. So that's one piece. And the other piece is the idea of a rough draft. What would be just your general rough draft of where you'd like to be by that time? See if that opens up the door a little bit. And if it does, then we can ask the questions. Okay, so what if you were to ask your skip level, what would I need to do differently in order to achieve that? What do you think they might say? And if they don't know, maybe they have a manager meeting and a skip level meeting to see how they might be able to grow towards what they would like to achieve in the long run. But these are some ideas of how to help a client, especially those who are a little bit uncertain about doing goal setting, open their mind a bit more to a goal setting process. Once you have some sort of goal on the table, even if it's just as simple as, well, I kind of like to get a promotion, then you can truly begin the coaching part of things. You've got the prompt. Now we can go into the depths of exploring the significance of this goal. So as you consider, wanting to be in that position over 2 years from now, what makes that the most interesting position currently in your mind? What's the significance? What makes this important to you? What makes it valuable? Who would you be able to become? What do you need to learn to get there? What would you learn as you were going there? What would you have learned once you have achieved the goal? What impact would you be able to make on your team, on others around you? What impact would this have on your family, on your future? And with all of these questions I've just asked, what's the opposite? If you don't pursue this, what's the significance of that path? What impact would that have on your family? What impact would that have on your team? What would you not be able to learn or experience if you just said, I'm not going to bother pursuing this achievement? What alternatives might you be able to look for if you weren't able to pursue this achievement? So even though exploring the negative in that way, you can still explore alternative opportunities as well. But just the main thing, explore thoroughly the goal, its significance, and what difference it would make for the client to pursue that goal. And then finally, you want to make sure to track and reflect on these goals as the client is pursuing them. We've talked about this a bit before and how we establish a coaching arrangement. There's a couple of things I'd like to add to that. Over many sessions, you're going to be working on these weekly things that pop up. It's the coach's job to make sure that those weekly things are reflecting or they're contributing some way, or they're offering moments of learning that make a difference on that bigger picture achievement that the client said they'd like to pursue. The coach, part of their contract is to say, I'm here to help you grow. So while we might have been moving towards that promotion at the beginning of the coaching relationship, and now we pivoted to the small, challenge with challenging relationship with a peer, the coach's role, every once in a while in a coaching session, maybe every other coaching session, to say, hey, as you're pursuing this and as you're improving this relationship, what difference is it going to make in your efforts to be promoted over the next year or something like that? Make sure you are reflecting within the coaching exploration on how today's agenda is impacting the long-term coaching agreement. And another thing that can be very interesting and helpful is to build some sort of visual. Now, this can be a visual that you make with the client, something that you kind of co-create, like a vision board. And it's a very popular resource. You can look up vision boards online. I don't need to recreate the wheel there, because vision boards are always being created, custom made by the client. So you can just look that up, how that works. Pretty straightforward. But as a coach, you can also kind of collaborate on some sort of visual that has significance for them within the coaching session, knowing that a visual will help the person remind themselves of the significance, the importance of the goal originally, and what they need to do to achieve it. This is an important piece of the coaching space. Make sure you are effectively coaching people towards their goals. It is the energy, it is the excitement that fuels the coaching journey.